Fox News, from what I understand, that this shooter had phoned a friend and said that he was suicidal and that he was going to shoot up a bank. If that is the truth, then I think that we need to again look at what is going on in our society. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Just 2 weeks ago, I stood in front of a camera where you had some kids, some babies, shot in Nashville, Tennessee, with a person who, by the way, had an AR-15. And from what we've been told here, Neil, this individual had that same kind of a weapon. And when you look at mental illness, if mental illness is involved here, and that weapon, that's a dangerous concoction. And we've got to do something in this society, Neil. I am sick and tired of standing in front of a camera. Neil, you and I have been on numerous occasions where people, young people, have lost their lives. 4 people left home this morning, and 4 people are not coming home tonight. That is something that we need to take into consideration. And when the governor says we shouldn't talk about certain things now, well, then I have to disagree with the government. We have to talk about guns. AR-15 are killing our babies and our citizens in this country, and we've got to do something about it.
This is Fox News contributor Ted Williams going on the network after the latest tragic mass shooting in Louisville, Kentucky, to say something that you rarely hear from a Fox personality: the truth. And bear in mind, this is a contributor to the network who regularly goes on to commentate about crime in a way that blames Democrats. He regularly uses right-wing talking points that align with Fox's propaganda, all of which is to say that he's not exactly some bleeding heart liberal here. But even he is so fed up with what's happening and can see what is so plainly obvious to the rest of us at this point. It is the guns. Not the doors, not video games, not godlessness. It's the guns. Consider what Ted Cruz tweeted literally just days ago after the school shooting in Nashville that killed 3 9-year-old children and 3 staff members. Quote, "When you go to the bank and you deposit money in the bank, there are armed police officers at the bank. Why? Because we want to protect the money we save. Why on earth do we protect a stupid deposit more than our children? We have an opportunity right now to double the police officers on campus and keep kids safe." And yet now, less than 2 weeks later, a mass shooting just happened at, you guessed it, a bank. I mean, honestly, every single excuse these NRA-funded politicians like Ted Cruz make get immediately destroyed by the very next mass shooting. But you know what common thread still remains through every mass shooting, no matter how many excuses you conjure up? The fucking guns. And here's the thing, everyone whose eyes aren't glued to Fox News or Truth Social or Newsmax 24/7 knows this. The vast majority of Americans are on board with universal background checks and safe storage laws and red flag laws and banning weapons of war. In fact, the consensus is becoming so clear and so overwhelming that Republicans are very clearly getting nervous, which is why they expelled 2 Democratic state House representatives in Tennessee who called them out. They can't stand that Americans, especially the younger generations, are fed up and done with the bullshit. But we've seen the thoughts and prayers cycle too many times. We know their playbook. And by the way, further underscoring the fact that legislation actually works, here's a chart by the Financial Times using data of mass shootings collected by Mother Jones. That big red line is where Republicans let the assault weapons ban expire in 2004. Notice a change? Which is probably why a Fox contributor finally acknowledging objective reality doesn't bode well for them. And this isn't the only time that veil has been pierced on Fox. Just a few weeks back, a mom in Nashville took over the live feed on the same network.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys tired of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? I'm from Highland Park. Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws, and these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation. I'm pretty sure this was an unsecured weapon that this teenager got a hold of. We can't even pass gun safety, like safe storage laws in this country to protect kids from getting a hold of weapons that they shoot each other with.
All right, so we're going to break away there because that reporter who was using that camera is obviously setting up to do a live report there. But the woman said it quite succinctly. Aren't you tired of this? Yes, we are tired of this.
And of course, when pressed on their inaction, Republicans will find whatever excuse they can conjure up. Like, for example, the whole mental health talking point, that this isn't a gun problem, it's a mental health problem. And of course, mental health is a critical component, but Republicans are the ones that are constantly voting against improving this. Here was a recent vote in the House on increasing access to mental health in schools, the exact kind of thing so many of them claim would help prevent mass shootings. All but one of them voted against it. So when they surface these excuses to give themselves cover, just know that they are not serious, they are trying to distract you. But occasionally, a Republican will come out and just drop all pretense. This is Tim Burchett, a Republican from Tennessee, giving his response when asked about the Nashville shooting.
3 precious little kids lost their lives, and I believe 3 adults, I believe it is. And the shooter, of course, lost their life too. So it's a horrible, horrible situation. And we're not going to fix it. Criminals are going to be criminals, and my daddy fought in the Second World War, fought in the Pacific, fought the Japanese, and he told me, he said, buddy, he said, if somebody wants to take you out and doesn't mind losing their life, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it.
And then when a reporter said, what about doing something to protect your own kid, this is what he had to say.
What should be done to protect people like your little girl from being safe at school?
Well, we homeschool her, but that's our decision. Some people don't have that option, and frankly, some people don't need to do it. I mean, they don't have to. It just suited our needs much better.
These people have made schools so unsafe that they won't even send their own kids there. If that is not the most damning indictment of these people, I don't know what is. And yet that's why you have Nancy Mace, a Republican from South Carolina, urging her party to at least pretend to care. Addressing women's issues and gun violence in our country isn't the hot potato we think it is. If we showed we cared, we'd be in much stronger position to persuade others our ideas are better. To which I responded, you voted against reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, against codifying a woman's right to choose, against expanding mental health access in schools, against universal background checks, and against red flag laws. But tell us more about how Republicans care. And I gotta say, it's telling that her response to help prevent Republicans from getting demolished by young voters and women is to look less out of touch versus actually doing literally anything to actually solve these problems. But this is exactly why we need to stay informed and continue to call out this MAGA bullshit where we see it. Because Republicans are obviously feeling the pressure, and they know they've lost an entire generation of Americans. They aren't operating from a position of strength. These are the dying breaths of a Republican Party legislating itself out of existence. Before you go, a quick announcement. I've started a Spanish YouTube channel. Democrats desperately need to be able to appeal to Spanish-speaking audiences, so this is me doing my part. To help that channel get going in the algorithm so that we can finally start spreading our progressive message and breaking the conservative stranglehold on Spanish-speaking media, please subscribe and watch a few videos. The link to that channel, called briantylercohen Espanol, is right here on this screen. And of course, to see more of my content in English, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. The link is also right here on this screen. Thanks so much for watching.